Hello, thanks for joining me on this walk up to the top of Mount Brown in Western Australia. Bushwalking and photography go hand in hand, and it really amazes me that nobody really has, up until fairly recently, got their act together and designed backpacks that can double duty for bushwalking and for carrying photographic gear. I'm at the moment testing such a pack made by MindShift, and when we get back home I'll tell you more about it. Hello, now we're back at the house. We can talk about the bag some more, but before I talk about the and I'll read out its proper name here because it's quite a mouthful, the MindShift Rotation 180 degrees Horizon 34 litre, I'll just talk about photography backpacks in general. Now, this is fairly typical of your photography backpack made by a camera bag manufacturer. The first thing I want to look at is the shoulder straps. The padding on them is quite thin, and it eventually does pull thin over time. This digs into your shoulders. It's not very comfortable. The hip belt, well, there is no way really that this is designed to take any load onto your hips. It's really just to stabilize the load as you walk around. Nothing more than that. And then if we look at the padding on the back, there are no air channels to direct padding around here, so this gets quite hot and against your back, and it gets quite wet and sweaty. And it's not particularly well shaped. It's quite sort of squarish, no shaping really to form to your back. And so what I've found is that over a period of time, these harnesses, they become very uncomfortable when you're bushwalking. They're okay for wearing about town for an hour or so, maybe 2 hours, but walking in the bush, it becomes a torture device after an hour or so. The other thing that's a problem is that most of the packs, you have to take them off to work from them. This one's a little bit different. You can sling it off to one side like so and access the main camera pouch and pull a camera out, but the difficulty is if you want to change lenses. And if you want to change lenses, you have to take the whole backpack off, lay the backing that comes into contact with you and your clothes on the ground, possibly in the wet and the mud, to then access the main bag. And that's a bit of a faff when you're bushwalking. And I found that over time, as you go on a walk, the more impedance there is to getting your camera equipment out of the bag, the less likely you are to take pictures. It's just a sad fact. The other thing that doesn't make photographic bags very good for bushwalking is this one is organised in two compartments, a lower compartment and a top compartment. Most are one single compartment with dividers for your cameras and lenses, which means you can't carry much else than your photography kit. This one's a little bit better, as I said, because it's got the two compartments, but when you open it up, there's not a lot of room in there. There's no room really for a fleece and a waterproof food, map, GPS, etc., etc. There's just not enough room. So the thing with the photographic backpacks is they are primarily designed for photography only, and that makes them unsuitable for extended bushwalks. Okay, so if we look at the MindShift bag, the Horizon 34L in comparison, we can see that the shoulder straps here, they're contoured so they fit better across your shoulder and chest. There's a sternum strap, helps stabilise the load close to your chest. The foam here is quite nice, doesn't feel as cheap and as thin as the other one. There's more adjustments built into the lengths of the shoulder straps and how the bag hangs from your shoulders there. The hip belt is actually a proper padded hip belt which enables the load to be transferred partly to your hips, which makes things a lot more comfortable when walking in the bush. The load's more evenly distributed. You're not carrying it all on your shoulders. And the back of the pack, the padding is contoured to fit onto your back, but there are these ventilation channels which bring air around your back to circulate, so you potentially don't get as hot. Here in Australia, especially during the warmer months, these things can become a bit academic. It's just hot, you sweat. It doesn't make much difference, but in more temperate climes, yeah. Because you don't really want to be wet when bushwalking. You don't really want to get wet. It's cold clothes, cold wet clothes on your core that cause you to get very cold and potentially get hypothermia. So you want to keep sweat from building up in your clothes, and all. So you need that ventilation here, especially in temperate climates. So overall, let's have a look at the construction of the bag. The bag is constructed primarily out of a ripstop nylon, which has a polyurethane backing on it to promote weather resistance. On the side here you've got a pocket for a water bottle. If a 1 litre water bottle is not adequate, then also on the same side, this panel here can unzip and you can get in a 3 litre water bladder, and there's a routing for the hose to go out and down the strap. And that just fastens shut, and this helps stabilise the load. At the major signs of wear sites of wear, the pack material is made out of cordura, which is harder wearing, and again it's lined with the polyurethane. We see here a daisy chain for adding things like crampons. There's a loop top and bottom to carry a walking pole or ski pole. And here, you can just reach it, get into it all upside down. There's a pocket for the foot of the legs of the tripod or a monopod. And up the top is a stabilising strap, so you can carry a monopod or a tripod strapped to the back of this. There's a single pocket here It's quite tight. I use it to carry a mini tripod and the waterproof pack cover. I've got more to say about that in a little bit. On top of the bag here there is a pocket. It's big enough to carry, say, a filter system, a couple of batteries, memory cards, some scroggin or muesli bars. Now the pack is 34 litres in capacity. 7 litres is devoted to the bottom photographic compartment and 27 litres is devoted to the upper compartment for stowing your kit. We zip open here. That pocket, this compartment, is big enough to contain one waterproof, a fleece. You probably get some food in here. I have packed food. There is a mesh pocket on the back to carry, I use it to store maps, trail guides, things like that I'm not using. There's no laptop pocket or iPad pocket as befitting a proper outdoor backpack, although you could put an iPad in this mesh pocket. The zips are good quality YKK zips, and this is the start of one of my cons with the bag, that if we look at it, there is no storm flap over the zip, which means that water can ingress into the compartment fairly easily, which is a little bit disappointing. It would have been nice if there had been a storm flap to come over, or some form of waterproof zip than the standard coil zip. Okay, nice finger tags on the zippers, which make opening it with gloves on fairly easy. Now we come to what separates this bag from the others, in that it's got MindShift's Rotation 180 system on the bottom. And what that means is that you flip this catch here, which is held in place by a magnet, and this flap can pop up. And pulling on this tag on the waist belt, you can then rotate this inner bag round to your front. Okay, now I'm just going to detach this. It comes with a leash that attaches it to the pack. You do want to keep that attached when in use, otherwise you could potentially lose your bag. And this is the photo compartment. 7 litres. This can be worn on its own as a photographic waist belt. Again, zips to open. A mesh pocket on the top for holding accessories. You could put, say, a smallish filter in there, or maybe a battery or something. And there's plenty of room in here. I've got this configured to take a Canon 6D with a 24 to 70 f4 lens, a Canon 75 to 300 IS, and a 20mm wide angle. Sometimes I forego the 20mm wide angle when I'm bushwalking and put a macro lens in if I'm going out and it's spring and I want to take pictures of flowers or insects. And as you can see here in the main compartment, it comes with plenty of dividers. You've got all these little bits come with it, and another pocket at the back here. But basically you have three main compartments, the two lenses either side of a camera body, and then a camera body in the lens in the middle. If you were using a micro four thirds system or a small APS-C mirrorless system with those lenses, you can divide these compartments even further to put more lenses in. This is stiffened nicely so it doesn't sag, and yeah, it works quite well. Okay, to use the photo compartment, I reach round behind me and grab the little latch that's at the bottom here, push it down. The flap moves out of the way because it's on an elastic cord with tension in it to make it pop out. And with a combination of grabbing the pull tag here and then the handle on the side of the pack, I can pull the compartment around to my front, where I can unzip and work from the bag quite nicely. It's easy to change lenses, not have the fear you're going to drop anything, and work like so. Then when I'm done, just zip it all up, and there is another pull tag on this side. So I push the compartment back around, and here I gain access to the pull tag and just pull it home and then clip it shut again. So it's all nice and flush, nothing dangling, nothing can catch on any bush or scrub. And that's how to use the Horizon 180 on the MindShift backpacks. Let's go back inside and finish off. And I'd just like to talk to you about the pros and cons and then sum up. Well, the pros are that the whole system works very well. It's quite a genius idea, being able to pull the lower compartment around and work from the bag from your front, and that makes life a lot easier. And ideally the bag is really set up to work well when the bag is on your back. It becomes a pain in the body when you put the bag down to work from it on the ground. Then it's a bit of a faff getting in and out, and yeah. My other gripe is I feel that MindShift have been really tight, tighter than a fish's eyelid, because most other bags at this price point come with an attached waterproof cover or have sufficient weather resistance built in. MindShift don't see it that way. They make you pay extra for the waterproof covering, which I feel is really cheap on their behalf. This is an expensive pack, and to make people pay another $45 Australian to get a cover for the backpack is really, really tight, I'm afraid, and mean-spirited. The other thing that really concerns me is the bag's not very durable. I've had it now for 8 months, and I've put 1,000 kilometers on using the bag in the bush, and I don't think that's excessive. That's only going out once or twice a week, and you know, but the bag is now starting to show very, very obvious signs of wear The PU covering on the waterproof covering is perishing, so it means that leaks now, which makes that an expensive $45 trinket, which doesn't add anything to the bag. And the PU covering on the main pack itself is starting to peel quite badly in places, again diminishing its protection for your equipment. And I feel really, with how much this bag cost, and that it's intended to take you and yourself with equipment, photographic equipment, into the bush, protect the contents of the bag from the weather and bring everything back safely. The fact that this is so fragile and subject to such quick wear and tear means that it's it's not really suitable for the job, is it? You know, the idea is to go out, have fun, and not have to worry too much about your equipment. And you know, really at this level it shouldn't wear out this fast. I reckon I've probably got another 12 months of usage in it max, and then I'll probably have to look to replace it, which is quite disappointing. So on the plus side, it is a very, very good idea, and it needs to be developed. And really what I would like to see happen is, one, this flimsy ripstop nylon is replaced with the Cordura type material that you find over the rest of the pack. That the waterproofing layer, or the PU layer on the backing of the pack fabric, is more durable. That there is a storm flap over the exposed zippers, and that the rain cover is actually integral to the bag. It's not a separate item that you have to pay for, and it's something that you can fit relatively easily in the field. This one is a fiddle. It's pouring down with rain, potentially cold. You know, you want to get this thing on as quickly as possible, and this is a real faff to get it on. To unpack it, unroll it out of the thing, find all the little Velcro places to stick it to. Yeah, it's just not easy at all. So I'd like to see an improvement on that. Now, if they could do all that and bring the price in for the same amount of money as they charge for this, then I would consider getting another one. But as it stands now, I really can't recommend this. I think you'd be better off buying a proper outdoor walking backpack from a reputable brand such as MacPack, and then putting your equipment into a camera pouch and lens pouches, and having them inside the ordinary backpack. That's what I've done in the past. It's served me well, and at the moment that is what I am considering going back to. It would be nice to see some bag manufacturer come up with something that is really truly designed to be used out in the bush, out in the wilderness, but so far from what I've seen on the market, we're a long way off that. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it informative. I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.